So as you can see here, I've just made the crappiest animation ever doing using Blender, and just tweaking the model definition of the WAD file that I've learned from the wiki, and using frame index and surface index only, mostly. I mean, I've used the Z script instead of the decorate. It's much more flexible and you can edit better. I think it's much more powerful than decorate, and you can specify the frame indexes from Blender like this. They refer specifically to each frame inside Blender. In this case, the animation has 100 frames, but I've used just 25, and that's because I've modified the output here, old and new. If I changed the original 100, it gets much slower, and that's because I've just made it wrong, I guess, or whatever. It works perfectly well if you modify here. You're 25 complete running cycle, and it works just fine. The most important thing here is are the indexes, the model index and the surface index. The model index refers to the model that you're loading, the actual MD3 file that you exported from using the Nash's export script here, Nash Mohandas export script. It's very important that you refer to the Neo Blender branch, because this is the only version that I found that supports the latest Blender version, and you can export animations using armatures just fine. I thought it wasn't possible, but it actually is. At the end, the exports just modify the vertexes using the MD3 file. Only supports vertex animations, but at the end it doesn't matter. The export script does the job pretty well. It's very important to refer to the correct index of the material inside Blender. Let me select the object and get the materials here. Each material has a name. It doesn't matter what name you just put here. What does matter is the surface index. The 0 refers to the first material, 1 to the next, and so on. It's not possible, as far as I know, that it's not possible to refer to the name of the material like this. This decorate thing and the MD3 file is pretty limited. You don't have much space to work with. You have to use letters. I've tried to use strings like this, but it doesn't work. So if you have to use it, and you can even repeat them. Well, I couldn't do this. Well, I'm not sure anymore. Let's just try. It just messes everything, as you can see. We couldn't find the right model. You have to override the class that you define here. Like custom Doom player and custom Doom player separately. You need to override, because otherwise you can't have separate animations. If you just put them all together, they're going to overlap horribly, and it's not going to work. It works if you have a separate model, like a shotgun model, and you can texture it and animate it, but you're going to render it at the same moment, like spawn a scene or attacking or whatever that you define here. They're going to be rendered together, and in order to separate them, you need to override the model. So I have an idle one and a running one, and in Blender I've separated them into separate files. Like I have an idle one with a really poor animation just for testing purposes. So I've exported it separately. I've just so I have them. I have an idle animation and the running animation. But the MD3 file actually it has all the shading and shading data and the animation data, all the vertices. It's kind of it's really not very well optimized. I think this file is pretty poor and not really good for animations at all. But this is what I think you can work with OBJ files as well, but they don't support animations on GZDoom, so you just have to use MD3 files, and that's pretty much it. There's not much more to it. You just have to do a good animation and work with it using multiple files and using as little space as possible. Yeah, that's it.